Boy, do I have a good one for you today. Imagine this, going into a company as a leader and you have an install base, but it's all small deals, tactical deals, single use case deals, and low dollar amount. Now, how do you take that and bring it to the enterprise? I did that kind of as a rep once a long time ago, and it sounds like it's easy, but it isn't, because it's not at that time viewed as an enterprise product. Also, it's a startup and it's a new category, and people don't understand it and may not have even heard of it before. And it's been tried to be solved a lot of different ways. So what I have on the show for you today is a CRO of WalkMe. WalkMe is this cool product that connects up with pretty much every major application that can kind of walk you through how to do the things you want to do. Instead of searching for help or try and go on YouTube or wait for a training class, it is built into the product right adjacent to it and walks you through the process. Now, this has been tried for a long time. Each vendor tries it themselves. People have tried it. Operating systems. I don't know if you remember Windows and the paperclip thing. Seems like a great idea back then, but the execution is critical. And I think WalkMe's got it. But it's not easy to get a big enterprise deal. It requires the cooperation of a lot of people, and a lot of people who don't either have the problem themselves, their people do, or they don't know how to get it done. So we have to help them get it done. So this is a great conversation. I think you'll get a lot out of this, even if this isn't the particular problem that you solve. We're going to be talking about these large enterprise deals, as well as how do you go and recruit for this. So as a rep, you'll enjoy this. As a manager, you'll enjoy it. Before we get started, go check out our friends over at CoVideo. They're doing a lot of stuff on how to become effective on video. Even if you don't want to use video email, check out their content. They really have spent a lot of time on this and have a lot of helpful tips. And what the hell? Give it a shot. Try it. See if it works for you. It's one of those ways to engage with the other person very quickly. Also, at the very end, I'll sum up what's been going on in the office hours for the courses and the one-on-ones. So here we go. Hey, Shane, welcome to the show. As a way of getting started, tell us about yourself.
Hey, Brian, thanks for having me today. Hi, I'm Shane Orlick. I'm the CRO at WalkMe. WalkMe is digital adoption platform. So our software sits on top of other software and guides those users through essentially using the software to accomplish business tasks.
And what was it like when you arrived, as far as like size and?
Yeah. So I can't tell you exactly how big we are, but when I got here, we're small, or we're about high 30 million ARR company. We were selling mostly transactional sales. So we would go into big companies, but we would sell departmental enterprise. We'd land in sales ops. We would sell WalkMe on top of Salesforce or on top of, maybe SuccessFactors or Workday. And that was it. And we would try to do sort of little transactional deals, get in there and get out, right? And then hope that once somebody used WalkMe, they got really excited about the value it provided on that single application, and they would try to, put us into other areas of the business. So it was an inside sales kind of transactional motion. Literally had a script, and people would stay on script, and then we'd go into pilots and we'd convert a certain percentage of pilots. Yeah. Kind of the opposite thing for an enterprise software person as myself. So for me, it was a great motion for landing, but WalkMe is an enterprise platform, right? WalkMe is a tool that should sit on every employee's desktop for every single piece of software that they own. So for me, it was this great opportunity to come into this organization where we had a tremendous footprint in large accounts, but didn't have that enterprise selling motion. So we quickly brought in enterprise sales reps. We instituted an enterprise go-to-market motion, and quickly took over, within these big enterprise companies. So now we're on our way to a couple 100 million ARR, and we're sort of getting out of that, that kind of startup mode and starting to focus on scale.
So there weren't enterprise deals before you showed up? It was just one-offs, kind of department by department, use case by use case?
Yep, exactly. And, we would do a couple big deals. Like maybe we had, I think maybe we had $1 million customer.
Yeah.
But, I think in the first quarter I was there, we did 3 deals over 100K. And by the fourth quarter of that same year, we did something like 26 deals over 100K. Right.
And what was that like building out the enterprise side? Especially.
Yeah, it's actually easy, right? I mean, I think if you can provide real value, demonstratable value that's tied back to an ROI that solves a real business pain, right? And you understand that, and your customers understand that, and you have customers that will go on record and tell other customers that you're able to do this. I actually think it's easier a lot of times to get bigger dollars because executives we have 7 of the Fortune 10 as customers. We have 35% of the Fortune 500 companies are customers, right? Half of the Fortune 100 are customers. When you go into an organization like that and you're talking about a $60,000 problem, nobody really pays attention. When you go in and you're talking about a $2 or $3 or $5 million problem, all of a sudden it must be more important, and we could tie it back to $50 million of ROI or 100, and so you get the executive sort of visibility into it. And I find that these deals actually move a lot faster, and when they do close, because you have that level of visibility, the projects go a lot smoother, right? You get the resources you need to implement and deploy and really institute the change that you're talking about. So for us, it's been a great transition. The product had to get better, right? Selling motion had to get tighter. We had to be able to go back to our customers and prove the value because it's not a rounding error anymore. It's a meaningful, sort of impact to their budget. But fortunately, we had those pieces. We just had to sort of put them together.
And what is the ROI? Is it compared to going to class, or is it wasted time? Is it help center, calls reduced?
Yes.
All that?
Keep going. I'm writing things down, right? So that's the beauty of WalkMe. So think about all the technology that a company buys to accomplish some process.
It's just like 1 or 2, right?
I wish. I don't wish. I'm really happy. I mean, we have customers that have 3,000 pieces of software deployed in their organization. How's that even possible, right? So if you think of the average sales rep, I don't just use Salesforce. I use Salesforce, but then I do my prospecting in LinkedIn. I might send my campaigns out in outreach. I then get a customer that's interested in seeing a demo, and I don't even know how to do a demo. WalkMe sits on top of your demo and walks your sales reps through giving a demo, right? Yeah. And then the prospect's interested and they want a proposal. Well, WalkMe can guide that sales rep through creating that proposal and sending out a proposal. So now your win rates are going to go up because you're not just sending over a quote, you're putting it in the right template, in the right win document every single time across your whole sales team, right? And then when it comes time to close, WalkMe guides that user through, DocuSign or whatever. So that might just be for sales. In the contact center, it might be around average handle time because a customer service rep, you have high turnover. They are learning all the different systems. I think on average, we find like 5 to 7 systems in a contact center just to answer one question. And the contact center person's been there for 3 weeks and the question really matters. So with WalkMe, we can guide that contact center agent to the right question at the right time. So now first contact resolution is going to go up, average handle time is going to go down, CSAT goes up. So really depending on which leader is running the project, if it's the head of IT, it's the CIO. If it's the head of the contact center, head of sales, head of marketing, they have a set of KPIs that they're measured on and that are important to the business. That's where we try to go. So if we can attach to the KPI that moves the P&L, then we know we have a good fit.
And what is that? Productivity per hour? Or is
a lot of the time. So if you think of, again, all this technology that you bought, how many people are actually getting the value out of what they purchased?
Much of it, yeah.
Very few, right? So what happens? You buy more technology. I can't forecast in Salesforce, so let me buy Clarity, right? Oh, people aren't using this, let me buy this. And they throw more technology at it, and they're not solving the problem. So what happens is if we can just get in there and attach ourselves to solving the problem, if you could snap your fingers and magically everybody did some process correctly, even if it touches multiple systems, especially if it touches multiple systems, what does that mean to your bottom line? Ramping reps faster, selling more, whatever it is.
And is this a land and expand type sale where you get into one particular use case and then work your way up and around it?
Yeah, so it's kind of one of these great questions that we're trying to answer. Because the way that somebody should license WalkMe, you just put it on your employee's desktop and they can use it for any software.
Okay.
Right? I don't care if a sales rep's creating a territory and they need to go from Salesforce into LinkedIn into outreach, back into Salesforce. For me, that's just one motion, right?
Yeah.
I need my sales reps to do this. And if they do this, they'll build territory and pipeline faster and they'll close more deals, right? So the way I'd like to license it is just use WalkMe for anything. But sometimes people don't start that way because they have a specific project. I'm going to Lightning upgrade. I need to roll out Workday. We need to do performance reviews or something, right? And because of that, we'll start on just that application. And that's more of your traditional land and expand, where they'll use WalkMe for a Lightning upgrade or a Workday deployment. And then quickly, I would say in the first 3 months, then now they're talking to us about 2 apps, 3 apps, 4 apps. And by the time you get WalkMe across maybe 3 or 4 different applications, then you're at the point where you just go WalkMe everywhere.
Yeah.
And we have a DApp license where you can literally put WalkMe on every desktop and then use it anywhere.
And is it OEM'd through any of the ISVs, the Salesforce?
Yeah, it's a good question. There are a few that approach an OEM relationship, but we're trying to keep it direct just because, we want to be able to help. That said, we're open to it. We just need to make sure that our customers are successful. Yeah. Once a partner shows that they can actually manage it and deploy it and represent, then we're fine to, talk about different relationships. But for the most part, it's a direct selling motion, and it's more of a referral type of agreement with the ISVs. Some of them, want to use this as a revenue generation opportunity. Others don't care. They just want happy customers. Like if you think about WalkMe's mission, literally our mission is to make ISV customers more successful in their product, or else we churn a customer. If I can't make a Workday customer, right, happier in Workday with WalkMe, then they're going to cancel my subscription. They may stay with Workday, right? But WalkMe is irrelevant. So literally our whole mission in life is to make our partners' customers more successful, which obviously leads to retention. It leads to expansion. It leads to all the good things that SaaS companies care about.
And what do you typically run into in these large enterprise deals? Is it that they don't see it as a must-have versus a nice-to-have? Is it usage?
It's a great question. I think the biggest thing is that we're creating a new category.
Yeah.
And so people see it, excuse me, and you instantly get it. You instantly understand, wow, this is a way better way than, whether it's a training person thinking about inline performance support, whether it's the CIO trying to manage 1,000 different applications across, 50 different business units. Everybody understands the value very quickly of WalkMe. The challenge that we run into is just that it's not a budgeted initiative. Nobody woke up thinking I need a digital adoption platform. They may go to sleep thinking that, hopefully, if we do our job, right? But now we have to attach to a project that's going to, affect the P&L and build and sell, right? And go help them understand the value, help figure out where the budget's going to come from, and then, kind of start and expand from there. Fortunately, once it happens, we say like what's been seen can't be unseen. So fortunately, when people see WalkMe, they make an emotional connection to what we're doing and the mission, and they get behind it. And then we're also, I'd say our secret sauce is our customers. We have a lot of really happy, very loyal customers that say great things about us. So when those prospects or, new customers start to talk to other customers, they hear lots and lots of different use cases. And then it sort of, kind of grows like wildfire.
And what is that typical trigger event? Is it a implementation of a new ERP or new CRM, a new marketing automation system?
Yes, exactly. So it's all over the board. It could be an upgrade. Somebody's upgrading to Lightning. They're having to upgrade to Lightning, and they need a way of doing that to 10,000 sellers or 5,000 sellers or 20 sellers, right? That need to know how to use the tool. It could be a new purchase. Somebody's rolling out, outreach, or somebody's rolling out, Workday for the first time, and they don't have the bandwidth to go train. What we're seeing today, as you would imagine, with, work from home and COVID, is that this vision of digital adoption and digital transformation, we've been talking about it for 6 or 7 years, right? In the last 3 years, Gartner started to talk about it, and Forrester's talking about it, and all these analysts and smart people are starting to talk about it and say it's important. But it's always been this 12 to 18 months, 12 to 24 month initiative. Yeah. But all of a sudden in March, that got real, right? I was told every day for 3 days, I don't take my computer home. I have the cloud, right? So I have a computer on my desk, and if I need to get into files or email or whatever, I have it on my desk, right? And that's just how it's been for a long time. I brought my computer home for 3 straight days, right? Because I might not be going back to work tomorrow. because we might be told that we have to work remotely. And so this shift happened, and all of a sudden digital transformation and digital adoption got real. It wasn't this theoretical, sort of event. It was, you just sent 20,000 employees home, and you need business continuity because you're a public company and you still have shareholders, or you still have to sell because you have expenses. And all of a sudden, you now need to enable those employees to use the technology that you bought for them the right way. They can't tap their friend on the shoulder. They can't walk down to a training class. They can't go ask somebody in ops. Like, everybody's spread out. And so for us, we're seeing that be the biggest shift. And again, kind of going back to our customers, we love them. We listen to them. They tell us what they want. They show us how they're using the WalkMe platform. And so what we quickly saw is that people were shifting from WalkMe being this layer that sits on top of technology to WalkMe becoming a communication platform and a collaboration platform. So all of a sudden, our customers are telling us really that they're using us to like sort of communicate in real time with their customers about COVID. What should you do? How should you stay safe? We're seeing governments, I can't tell you the names. Lots of governments now, states, are coming to us because they need a communication platform to talk with the citizens, right? And so all of a sudden, this has become sort of the driver over the last, really over the last 6 to 8 weeks.
And so what was it like when you try to go from like an inside model to hiring enterprise software people for a category that really didn't exist?
You've got to be very careful about who you pick, right, on the mission.
Well, who did you even look for?
Yeah, so fortunately, I've got a pretty big loyal team. So, there are probably 20 plus people at WalkMe that I've worked with in the past.
Okay.
And most of them I've worked with twice, 3 times, maybe 4 times before. So we have this little group of people. We know the motion, we know how to sell, we know. And what's beautiful about that is when you have that core, then it kind of spreads out, right? And other people kind of figure it out and they start doing it as well. And it just sort of works. But certainly the profile changes, and so does the cost structure, and so do the efficiency numbers, and you need to be ready to do it, right? Dan, if he's watching, Dan and I, early on, I said, hey, Dan, we're going from an inside sales transactional model where you've got sales reps that have been selling for a year, maybe, and they cost a certain amount, to enterprise traditional sales reps that cost twice as much, right? And this isn't an overnight switch. It's 9 to 12 month sales cycles and 6 to 9 months just to ramp sales reps. And like the efficiency numbers, you got to take a couple steps back to take a lot of steps forward. And so conceptually, everyone gets it. Then you get into that second quarter and you're like, okay, I think I see some glimmers of hope. Then you get in your third quarter and your fourth quarter, and all of a sudden, it gets real because you saw average sales cycles going up, right? It takes longer to close deals. Your win rates are going down a little bit because you're asking for more money and you're trying to figure out the motion, and your sales reps are more expensive. So you look at the efficiency numbers and you have to have a strong resolve to know that you did the right thing. Fortunately, Dan and Rafi and our team knew that and stuck with it. But then at quarter 5, quarter 6, quarter 7, all of a sudden you see the efficiency numbers really start to kick in. That's how we sort of manage the business. And then how do you manage the team to be successful? It's just better sort of training, better sales, and really changing the way that you think about the problem. I think as a transactional organization, you could sell on a cool technology. We could sell on showing people WalkMe. They fall in love with the idea. We do a configured demo. It's not that much money. They can put it into their budget and they buy it. But now all of a sudden, no, you need a CFO is going to look at this, right? $1 million ARR on a 5-year deal, or multiple $1 million on a 5 years. Your champion better have a better reason to get WalkMe than they think it's cool or they want it or it's going to make their jobs easier. So that was the big sort of transition, is just teaching people to sell through ROI.
Yeah. Well, but also, reps typically get comfortable with a certain persona or personas within the account: CTO, CIO, CMO, CRO, and they're completely different characters.
Totally. Yeah.
Right. And selling to them and what they care about and how they talk and, how they evaluate technologies is different. And a rep usually doesn't have that bandwidth.
Yeah. And it's hard. And a lot of reps have been doing it a certain way for a long time. And then all of a sudden there's a shift that happens, but I don't need to pay attention because I'm the number one rep, or I've always done really well. Like, I got this, right? I don't need to listen. Just give me more leads, right? That I can blow up. And so that was painful too, right? You got to sometimes shake people and say, hey, look, there's a different way. And we're leveraging tools like Gong and other things where reps can actually hear other sales reps and, get that coaching and hear what's successful. But we certainly had struggle with that, Brian, in the beginning. And we tried different models. Early on, we built a customer sales team and a net new business sales team, right? Early on, we talked about going to verticals. Like, do you have a vertical for life sciences, fins, insurance, telco? Do we have sort of a horizontal vertical for HR, for sales, for, the different sort of go-to-market functions? What we found out, though, is that would make, I think, that sales rep better at that problem, but it really dilutes the value of WalkMe, because the value of WalkMe is that WalkMe lives everywhere. Pretty much almost every financial services company is a customer of ours. Same thing as life sciences, same thing as retail, right? And so being able to just teach the rep how to put themselves into that persona's sort of profile and a day in their life, and then leverage other customers in their industries, that had a bigger return for us. So we just became stayed as generalists.
So how did the top reps figure that out? So they got a territory, there's a huge install base, but how do they take a tiny little island of usage within a big account and get a meeting with an executive?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the top reps just know how to do it, right? They don't even know they're doing it. They just know how to do it. I just sold to, this company over here. I'm going to go sell to this one and this one. They look similar. And I'm going to ask my reference, if they know anybody in their last company that they came from, if they can make an introduction, and all of a sudden they're introduced into probably a similar company because that's where this champion came from. And they're just, kind of networking. The biggest challenge is, how do I get everyone else thinking that way? Right. Yeah. And looking at the world that way to work on our breadth of performance numbers, right? Which is obviously critical. And that was a lot harder. That was a lot of training around win stories, just repeating over and over again, here are the customers. Why did they buy? What's important to them? How do we, replicate what, that customer said? I'm talking a lot about the sales team today, but the account management team, we have a CSM organization that's really in there with our customers. Excuse me. They're the secret sauce. So they're the ones that know everything about the account. They know who our champions are. They know where we're good. They know which areas of the business we're trying to improve, and they can really help us network. So we were able to take the account management, and it's not perfect yet, but we were able to take the account management team and the sales team and do proper account planning, right? And actually go in there and figure out, okay, which department do we go into next? Which story do we go into next? And then especially on the strategic sales side, the biggest accounts, we were able to create territories that had other similar industries, right? So we've got a bunch of reps with financial services companies in New York. And so they're, able to sort of pattern match things that worked in one retail bank with others. And we just sort of did it that way. We're definitely not perfect. And I think the challenge with WalkMe, I think our board has been telling us this probably since Dan and Rafi started the company. Focus, go focus. Be just be one thing for this one group of people. And, Dan and Rafi, I think, said, yeah, I get it, but that's too easy. But we have a way bigger opportunity than that. And the platform is really, truly horizontal for everybody. It doesn't apply just to one group of people or one industry. So it's going to be harder, but we're still going to do it and make it work. And we've been able to do that.
And who are the gatekeepers or the naysayers within the account that can stall a deal? Is it IT? Is it training? Is it operations?
Oh, there's always a bogey around every corner. It's different. It's traditional enterprise selling, especially in these big companies. So you've got to get through security. You've got to get through legal. You've got to get through the MSAs, right? And we're able to do that. We're actually able to do that again. Once you get enough customers in each segment, it gets easier and easier, but it still takes time, right? So it's just the bandwidth of getting the folks on the other end to actually sit down and do the process. That's what slows that down. We don't have an issue with getting through it. It's just time. Certainly within an account, budget is an issue. Right? If I just spend a lot of money on a Workday or on Salesforce or, some other software, the last thing I want to hear is I need to spend more money. Right? And so until we can actually establish how you're going to really save money or make money with WalkMe on that purchase, that it's not, you didn't make a bad purchase. It's not that Workday or Salesforce or any application has a bad UI. Yeah. Nobody's implementing that software the way that the product folks designed it. Right? So think of by the time an enterprise solution like Workday actually gets implemented, it's a Frankenstein app, right? It's all kinds of different reports and this and this and this, and it's not, it doesn't look the same as it was designed. And so with WalkMe, we can help solve that problem and just get the job done. So typically we'll have a finance person who wants to know why I need to spend more money. I just bought this. And then we also get, sometimes people internally, will be intimidated by it. Like, why do I want this tool where we do training, or it just works, and they haven't really seen the value. Fortunately, those are the easiest people to convert and get on board, because once they actually see WalkMe and they understand that this isn't saying that your baby's ugly, it's just saying, look,
you got too many babies.
Yeah, like we just want to get the job done. You just want your employees to do something, put their sales deal in the right stage so you have an accurate forecast. And it can't go into stage 4 unless you've done this, this, and this. And WalkMe can provide that guidance so that we can lock it down. Now you have an accurate forecast. And all of a sudden, those people start to get really excited about it. And we go to phase 2, which is finding the money. And then you go to phase 3, which is getting the approvals to get the contract done.
Well, let's talk about finding the money, because I'm sure you're talking to people who have the money. It's just not in the right place. And there's no place for you, right?
Yeah.
So you have to kind of take it from someplace.
Yeah. So one of the biggest, I'm a big MedPick fan. So for those MedPick fans out there, McMahon, if you're listening, buddy, this one's for you. But the champion, right, is the person that gets excited about the product and about the value, right? The economic buyer is the person with discretionary use of the funds. They can buy whatever they want. They got a pool of money. You just need to convince them that they should buy your product. So early on, we had a lot of confusion between those two roles. So we'd have sales reps that have a champion and they think they have the economic buyer and they're committing the deal. And then their champion goes to the economic buyer and finds out that they're not willing to spend money, even though they had budget maybe, right? So we've gotten really good at finding the person with discretionary use of the funds and then putting it back into a framework that makes sense, an ROI framework that says, hey, I'll give you $1, you give me a dime, right? Yeah. And just sort of doing that over and over again.
Right, but even the economic buyer has to categorize this, right? And does it come out of IT? Does it come out of line of business?
Yeah, it's a great question because it touches multiple lines of business.
Yeah.
And so what will happen is the person in the contact center only cares about their world. So they just care about putting us on Stable or whatever, right? And then you got the sales team that just wants to spend their budget on the sales applications. So what happens is we need to get to the CIO. We need to get up high enough within an organization that they have, budget, insight into all the different groups. Once that happens, it's usually the CIO, and then they'll figure out an internal chargeback system where they charge each group a certain percentage, or they'll pay for some of it. But in the beginning, we weren't able to get to the CIO. We were a small little startup company that nobody's ever heard of, and it was tough. Now, fortunately, we have some momentum. We have Gartner writing about us, and we have some goodness that helps us get into that room. And then once they see it, that sort of becomes their problem in a sense, because they just know they need it. Yeah. So the CIO says, I've got the head of the contact center telling me they've got to get emails and telephone calls down, and they need better systems because their agents are spending too much time to create a ticket, or they don't know how to do it. Wow, that solves that problem. And then over here, I don't have any insight into all the different systems that I'm running as the CIO. With WalkMe, we give you analytics, if you choose to use them, on every single piece of technology that WalkMe's on top of. So I can literally tell you every system that's running, where people are using it, how they're using it, where they're clicking, where they're getting stuck, what they're trying to do. And then I can go in and optimize that employee experience, right? A CIO sees that and says, wow, this is a game changer. This is a spotlight that you're shining on my digital stack that I've never been able to see before, right? Yeah. And they just want it. And then they kind of help us figure out the different channels. But it's different every time. That's the challenge.
So do you feel like you've nailed down the sales process and kind of?
We're perfect. We got
it. Cookie cutter.
CFO and CEO, they'll tell you we're perfect. Our efficiency numbers couldn't be better. No, we haven't, right? I mean, it's something that we're always figuring out. We're like obsessing over it, right? Yeah. Even to the point where we're now trying to look at BDR conversion activities. What's the right conversion for emails and telephone calls into the qualified lead, and then through the sales stages and the velocity of that, and how many do they need to make, how many emails, how many calls. Back on the sales side, right? What's the right message? We're actually, I'll give a plug out here to a company called Visualize that's a value selling, partner, we're working with Visualize now to actually rethink our sales stages, our qualification stages, and then mapping that back into our sales tools so that, we're getting tighter around that. And then obviously a big thing for us is personas. What's a day in the life of the head of IT, right? The CIO, the head of HR, the head of sales, and then if we can sort of visualize what they think and how they go through life, then we could target our qualification and, methodology and qualification questions around that. We could target our demos around that. Because the challenge with WalkMe is we really can be such, we can really work anywhere, right? Yeah. And so because it can do almost anything, we really need to help our customers focus on the first couple projects. And so that's where we're focused on personas. But that's probably the biggest challenge to efficiency, is just, with the leads coming in from all over the place and with sales reps, like you said, that are more comfortable selling a certain way or to a certain profile, how are we, tightening down that sales flow?
Cool. Hey, it's been a fun conversation. I appreciate your time. Where can people go to follow you?
You could look me up on LinkedIn. I'm not really big on social. This is, I did the show because you're awesome. And I love the fact that you do this for salespeople and for sales leaders, and, that you're helping and you're giving back. That's really important to me. But mainly just LinkedIn. And if you can text me. Everyone text me. That's how you get a hold of me. But cool. Thanks.
What a great guy. Very, very enthusiastic. It was really fun doing that interview. If you haven't seen it, go onto YouTube. You can see it visually. It's worth probably listening to maybe once a quarter at least, when you start to learn about the large complex sale. Because no one teaches this stuff, because very few people know it and have done it. Because if you go from, a pull or small incremental deals where you're dealing with the end user and maybe their manager. But as the dollar amount gets higher, and this dollar amount doesn't have to be very high, because a lot of the vice presidents I've met and talked to, their sign off is maybe $5K, maybe $15K, and even the CEO, anything probably over $100K, they might even go and talk to other people. Not to get approval, but to get reactions, to get advice, to get consensus. So the approval process isn't as clear as it used to be, and isn't as clear as we'd like it. And if we don't know it, the client doesn't know it. They think they're the decision maker. Now, this is really what I teach in closing the complex sale. Because guess what? I did it for 25 years at a bunch of different companies. And then I went out and helped other companies and reps do it. I immerse myself in this every day with the one-on-ones and the office hours. I'm going through the biggest deals everyone is working on. And what is clear is that the client never knows how to get it done. And the rep, they hope they understand how it gets done. And the default is for it not to get done. Not because they don't have money. They've got money. You can tell if they have money. Doesn't get stalled because it doesn't work. It does work. They like it. They need it. They want it. But they don't know how to get it done politically, administratively, and financially. And if you don't know these things, you're going to be wasting a lot of time because your deals are going to get stuck. And the bigger they are, this amplifies 10x. So it's critical that you learn this so that you can control and guide it. And guess what? If you can't, you're going to lose the deals. Now think about how many more deals do you have to get to make it worth your time and your money to go through the course? One, maybe. Maybe one, maybe a quarter of one. And what if you could hear other people talking about their big deals, how they prevented it from getting stuck, or how they unstuck it, how they accelerated, how they made it bigger, how they locked out their competition? Would that be worthwhile? If it isn't, you're in the wrong job. Sorry. Go down to marketing or customer support. They love friendly, nice people. But if you want to close deals, you have to understand how to get it done. So that's closing the complex sale, go to b2brevenue.com, schedule a time to talk to me about it. But be serious. Serious about starting now, not serious about starting it 2 years from now or when your dog gets better or whenever something else will pop up or your manager will pay for it. When you're committed to starting today. The other course, Start the Conversation, Get the Meeting, solves the key number one problem that people are having today, getting into cold accounts. It's easy with inbound. They come to you. But I don't know, do you have enough inbound? How many cold new accounts did you get into last week? The industry standard is $500 to $2,500 to get a qualified meeting. Now, this doesn't mean they're interested. This means they'll take the meeting. So you might be getting meetings with AirPods or Apple Watches or some phony baloney webinar, but is that a lead? Is that somebody curious or interested in what you do and aware of the problem you solve? Now, this course, it teaches you the skill of how to build that, how to create it, not find it, create it. Well, finding it you can do through spamming. If somebody happens to be in market, they might pop up and they might be legit, but that's rare, isn't it? The gold is us finding the people who have the pain, but they don't know it yet. And if we were to invest the time and effort to get the conversation started with them, they would respond to it. This is a skill of the A players. But if you don't have this skill, you're just banging your head against the wall trying to find the needle in the haystack of the person who's in market and doesn't know about you. That's what cold calling and cold emailing is about. It's not creating interest. It's trying to find existing interest. I show you how to create interest and curiosity and turn it into action. Now, this course costs less than one meeting. And people are now able to outsource it and book up their whole schedule without doing any effort by teaching this to a virtual assistant or breaking it down into tiny little pieces and automating it. And the luck and the success that people are having with this is phenomenal. I've been using this system in one way or another for the last 7 years. I haven't made a cold call in 7 years. I haven't sent a cold pitch in 7 years. This works so simply because I broke it down and I asked myself, how do people want to get approached? How do I meet them where they are, create curiosity that builds into interest, that builds into urgency and action? And I built it into tiny little steps, and they work like magic. It doesn't work on everybody. Nothing does with human beings. But what's great about it is it's essentially rejectionless, so you don't get that when you get a reject, with unsubscribe back from your email or someone hangs up on you. No matter how many times it happens, we're still human. It's still rejection. Why not build on something that works? So Start the Conversation, Get the Meeting is that they both you can pay all at once or in monthly payments. One is a lunch, the other is a dinner. And if that doesn't justify itself, you're in the wrong job. And people always ask, well, who's the right match for this? It's B2B salespeople. It's not B2C. It's not door-to-door. The more complex the sale, the more effective it is. Nobody joins the course because they got tons of leads and their deals are easy and they work at a big brand. Everyone knows them. The only people who don't join it are know-it-alls, good luck, B player, or people who are lazy or cheap. And the reason I say don't waste my time is I know you're willing to have other people invest in you. I get it. But if you're not willing to invest in you, please don't ask me to. I put a ton of free stuff out there. You can take that and use it as you wish. This course is really about taking your game to the next level. When people say, well, does it take a year? No, well, it's a practice. It takes a long time. I've been playing chess since I was a kid. I'm still playing today, and I have a chess coach. Why? Because I want to get better at it. I get stuck at a certain level. I need somebody to enlighten me, to push me a little, to challenge me, to show me things that I'm not seeing. Somebody who's ahead of me, somebody who knows the game a little bit better. And that interaction that you get through the course, because it's not just content. It's content, collaboration through office hours every other Friday for 1 hour on Zoom, and unlimited one-on-ones, which is a 30-minute Zoom call with me applying the course after you take it to a particular deal or situation. All of it is put back in the course, so the course is compounding, meaning that there's at least 2 hours a week of fresh, new, additional content, taking different angles at different parts of the problem of getting meetings and closing complex sales so that you can become better at it. Well, I don't know of a better way to do it. How else are you going to learn by seeing how other people are doing it? Somebody who's kind of figured this part out, who spent 30 years doing it. I can't imagine a better way. That's it. So check out my YouTube channel over on YouTube, Brian Burns Sales. Check out the other 2 podcasts, Sales Questions, Brutally Honest Answers, and the B2B Revenue Show. If you see my stuff on LinkedIn, please give it a like, a comment, a share. I'm running behind on my connections, so you can just follow me there. It gives you pretty much the same capability. I'm not sure what the difference is. I appreciate you telling a friend about the podcast. I don't ask for reviews anymore. I understand it's a pain in the butt and very few people do it. But just when you're talking to a sales rep that you really like, just tell them about it. And one of the things I didn't mention about the interview that I really liked is you notice when I asked him about finding the reps, what did he say? He knew people. That's the mafia strategy. That's the gold of building your network with friends and people that you know are good at sales. Why? Because you can go from company to company. You've got a pre-built, just add water team. And also, these people will pull you. And I've seen it work over and over again. And I did it a little bit, but not nearly enough. I think it was a huge mistake in my career. And what's crazy is I had, not a personal friend, but a friend of a friend who I saw this happen to over and over again. The same crew would go from company to company. The leader would cook the comp plans and the territories and the stock options, and the company would be hot. It was an instant team. It was like 5, 6 people, and all of a sudden it would just percolate. And what a great way to go. I call it the mafia strategy because it's a tightly coupled group of people who trust and believe in each other. Not that it has anything to do with crime. The mafia thing is just an analogy. I appreciate everybody listening. Tell a friend about the show. We'll see you next time.